So I have finished both sleeves, and now what we're going to do is we are going to add the sleeves to the body. We're going to start by adding them to the front, and this is where the raglan sleeve is very different from an inset sleeve pattern. So I'm going to put this corner, which is the underarm, and I'm going to stick it right next to this corner of the body, which is also the underarm, and I'm going to pin them together. Then I'm going to take my other sleeve, and again, right side to right side, stick that little corner of the underarm to the corner on the body, and pin it up. And now I'm going to sew both of those. Just as I mentioned when we were putting on the cuff that it is important to have a large seam, you're now going to want at least a 1/2 inch seam. So I have my needle to the far left. Since it's all pinned, I'll just start right here at the end of my fabric. Because I have my needle to the far left, I can use either the foot as a guide, or if you'll notice, on this plate, it has little numbers. So if you wanted to move your fabric further out, you can do that as well. I'm going to go forward, backward, forward, taking out my pins as I go along. Going backwards and forwards when I get to the end. Cutting my threads nice and short. And now doing the other side. Now what you see is the front attached to the sleeves. Now we have to attach the back in the same way. So right side to right side. Let's make sure I know which is my right side. Okay, so right side to right side there. I'm going to pin that on. Same thing. That bottom of the corner that is the underarm. That's where you start. Then this corner to this corner. Pin those, and then do the same way you did the other sleeves. Sew them all the way from the bottom to the top, or the top to the bottom, whichever way you start first. Okay. So now I've attached both sleeves to the front and the back, but if you'll notice, it's a very odd looking thing. So what I do is I say that we're going to turn it into a poncho so that you can remember how to put it together. And here's the important part. You do not start sewing from the bottom to the top, or from this bottom to this top, to that edge. You make sure you pin your underarms together. So you put these two corners together and you pin them. All the way down the sleeve, and if it turns out that both edges of the cuff come out perfect, then you just won the lottery. When you're pinning your fabric together, sometimes you're actually stretching one side more than the other. So I pin that there, and then I go along and I pin the rest. Because if I start from here and pin to the bottom, I might just be a couple centimeters off. But if I do it this way, then I'm usually just right. Now, what you don't want is you don't want to end up with a bunch of puckers through here. So if it really truly doesn't match perfectly, well, then you're just gonna have to bite that bullet and live with it and not have a perfect cuff. Pin all the way down, keeping your edges as close together as possible. And then you're going to begin going this way. Now, if you have a straight bottomed Atikłuq, okay, so you don't have a curve at the bottom, then you can go all the way to the end. But I am making a curved bottom Atikłuq, so I am not going to pin to the very end, and I'm not going to sew to the very end. I'm going to give myself a little bit of room here to work with. And then I'm going to pin this side exactly the same way. I'm going to sew, starting from where I want to end here on the bottom, you know, giving myself that extra room to add my curved trim. This is, again, another case where we want a nice, wide, about a 1/2 inch seam. Go backwards and forwards to lock your stitches in place. Take your pins out before you run over them. Now, when I get to this corner, right at the edge of that seam, I put my needle down, I lift up my foot, turn my fabric, and then I keep sewing. Now, one side is done.